Welcome to another Man and a series with Nzetobo Sigwe Ezikolomuo. Today I want to discuss on practicing Odinana from an intellectual level. Now, the Christian Bible intellectualized Christianity. Quran intellectualized Islam. The Vedic literature intellectualized Hinduism. Unfortunately, Odinana does not have any written documents that try to whitewash it and remove the toga of fetishism and barbarity surrounding it. What written document does for any movement is it tries to give it an intellectual bent, an intellectual depth, and any movement devoid of intellectual depth is bound to fail, is bound to collapse. I believe that the the surviving strength of Ordinana today is its pristine spirituality inherent in it, or being part of a culture. But once that culture is swallowed up by another foreign culture, the tendency that it will go into oblivion is high. This is why you need an intellectual depth to any movement. Like I said, any movement or any practice or any system devoid of intellectual depth is bound to fail, is bound to collapse, is bound to nosedive. In Christianity, the Nicaea Council helped to frame the intellectual depth of Christianity and the role of the Alexandrian monks in selecting the various books in the Bible and trying to curate these books to give it a kind of focus, a, a kind of intellectual explanation to the faith. It is my considered opinion that a modern day practitioner of Odinana must approach Odinana from an intellectual prism or risk being mistaken for a demon worshipper. There is nothing wrong in being a demon worshipper if you have the mental stamina to bear the social stigma that will come with such label. But why should one be comfortable or deliberately cut social ostracization? Being called a demon worshipper comes with a kind of bad label that might lead to social ostracization. Why should you cut that? Yes, spirituality is a personal affair, yet we must realize no man is an island. As far as human evolution is concerned, humans are interdependent on each other for their survival. If this is the case, then we owe it as an obligation to our neighbor to understand the logic behind our way of life as in the Odinana. To achieve this goal in these modern times, Odinana demands to be practiced from an intellectual level. From an intellectual level, this is a total departure from the mundane or highly ritualistic cloud that Odinana is presently enshrouded in. There is a lot of mysticism. I will call it unnecessary mysticism beclouding Odinana presently. Some of this mysticism needs to be what? Given an intellectual bent for it not to be seen as what? Fetishism. At times there's a thin line between mysticism and fetishism. How can we achieve this goal of practicing Odinana from an intellectual level? Number one, you as a practitioner having an in-depth understanding of what Odinana represents. You must be able to understand what you are doing as Onye Odinana. If you are praying with kola nut, you must be able to understand what it is. If you don't understand it, that's why some people are confused. Can I pray with kola nut in English? Must I use Igbo? If you start seeing Odinana from an intellectual perspective, then you understand that yes, I can pray with in English with kola nut. When you start understanding that spirits understand every language, you will not ask some certain questions. Some things will start being clear to you. Number two, finding the replica of what we do in Odinana in other religion. It's intellectuality that will help you to understand, for you to study, for you to research, for you to understand that some things we do in Odinana, or most of the things we do in Odinana, there is replica, it's replica in other religion, even the most organized of what religion. Despite that Odinana is what polytheism and most of the organized religion are monotheistic, yet some of the things we do in Odinana, as in the Odinana, there is what the version of it in other organized religion out there. Take for example, if I in a mili, it's still the same thing with what the Christian calls water baptism. There are a lot of water rituals in Christianity. It's all mili. If you break down those water rituals in Igbo, you see that it's still all mili. That's why I tell people Christianity have moved past from going to the water river to do some of these things to going to the swimming pool to all just using a bowl of water inside their church to do all those things. You see the Reformation, what you call Holy Communion in Christianity is what we do with kola nuts in Ordinana. You see the version of it is when you study and you understand it, you give an intellectual bent to all these things. You see that they are not fetish ritual that is devoid of meaning, that I'm doing this because that's the way we do it. You must run away from that kind of Ordinana understanding or practice. I'm doing this because that's how our ancestors do it. Yes, it's good to do it because that's how your ancestors, but you need to understand why they are doing it. Is that understanding will help you to see its similarities in other world cultures so that it will now reinforce your belief in doing it. Knowing that they are not stupid. They were not doing this thing from a place of stupidity or ignorance. There is a reason behind all those rituals. Number 3, refusing to hide, practicing Odinana. Hiding to practice Odinana means that there is something wrong with what you are doing. It gives Odinana a kind of a cloud of mystery and also a cloud of um, illegality, that there is something wrong with it. For example, when I got into Odinana, I decided that I don't want to be seen in the night in the road doing some certain rituals. Why? Because it will pass a wrong message in this present world. I need to come out in the night to do anything. It has to be inside my house where nobody is seeing me. Having that intellectual understanding will help you to understand that thing you want to do in the dead of the night. Can I still do it at another time? Can I do it in an open environment and I will achieve the same result? You need to ask yourself questions. Intellectual excursion is about asking questions. It's about demystifying things. Number 4, ensuring that your Odinana practice is clean, devoid of what? Crudeness. If you name even I just said something. See more Odinana called the Ochanaya. If there is a method to it, then there should be a cleanliness to it. It doesn't have to be crude, like how it was done 14th century, like how it was done 400 years ago. No, society evolves, culture evolves, it's dynamic. So it needs to be evolved from its crude state. Most of us are living in 20th century houses, in 21st century houses, in smart houses. So how come that the Ordinary that you are doing is still in its crude form? How come it's not in its 21st century stage? How come it's not in its smart stage? It means you are not practicing that Ordinary from an intellectual perspective. And one of the problems people have in pushing Ordinary and trying to give Odinani intellectual bent is what you are looking at what other people are doing. Stop looking at how others are practicing their Odinana. Stop. Am I getting it right? Is that how the other person is doing it? I've said it in my previous video that so many people, they are always in analog stage. They are always in analog stage. Stop looking at those people. Stop trying to get approval from those people. I don't care how many years those people have practiced Odinana. They say that the most advanced in any society is the most recent. Most times, the most progressive minds are the new people that start something because they are tired of the old and rigid method. So a modern day practitioner of Odinana must bring an intellectual bent to Odinana to move it from its crudeness. Refuse to practice Odinana in its crude form. It's because of this insistence on crude form. That's why people are insisting that you must go to the river to go and do this one. You must go to the road to go and. You don't want to evolve. Number 5, Put what you do down in writing so that anyone can understand it. Yes, your version of Odinana, one day, put it down in writing. Put it down in writing and to know whether it makes sense to you. Put it down in writing. Who knows, one day, it might be that writing that will save Odinana, that will help you to explain to a lot of people why you are doing what you are doing. We have lost a lot of our cultural practices because of blunt refusal to put things in writing, to put things down in writing. Putting things down in writing helps people to question something, and it also helps to preserve that particular thing. It helps people to dissect. It helps people to ponder. So put it down in writing. Doesn't mean whether you want to publish it as a book, but still put it down. Number 6, derobing ordinary of some of practices that are no longer what necessary. There are so many I keep saying it, there are so many cultural practices that are no longer necessary as far as I'm concerned. I cannot overemphasize on road sacrifice, water, even masquerading. Recently, I've been talking about the whole mystery that's surrounding around masquerade. It's my considered opinion that masquerade is a huge source of what employment for Igbos in this modern time. I've said it that masquerade can shut down O2 Arena. It can shut down several of the world stage. It can be a big employment opportunity for our young people because it's a different form of entertainment, a powerful form of entertainment. But people are shrouding it with a lot of mystery, calling it spirit coming out from ant hole. That women cannot do this one, that if you're not initiated in this one, leave those sacred aspects for those who are initiated in it. Understand that masquerade as an art form can be a form of a big, huge employment if you treat it as a secular form of entertainment, because masquerade has a sacred aspect and also have a secular aspect. In the olden days, it was for entertainment and it was also used for some sacred activity. Leave the one for sacred activity, let it remain sacred for those who are involved. But the one that is for secular entertainment, let's derobe it of every form of mysticism and tap into the potentials inherent in it. It will help bring more attention into the culture. A lot of people are trying to nitpick, trying to grandstand why this thing should be left, that it comes out from whole, like this one that is an ancestor returned. And there with those kind of mindsets, you cannot go far. Even people that say some of all those things are not involved in the masquerading. I keep saying it. If people tap into the potential in masquerading, it will be a big destiny. To blow up not just Igbos, it will blow up other African countries. That is our unique form of entertainment, which we have not given to the world to enjoy with us. Number 7, refusing to practice any aspect of Odinana you have not understood its logic. Don't be in a hurry to practice an aspect of Odinana that you do not understand the logic behind it. I've said it, if you are in Odinana, don't suspend your brain. Odinana, there is less of faith in Odinana. There is less of just believe. Believe, that's how God wants it. That's how the Holy Spirit. No. In Odinana, there is more of logic than just believe. If there is more of logic, then do not be regurgitating or practice things that you do not understand the logic behind it. I've said it, almost everything I've seen in Odinana has a logic behind it. If you deeply question, there is a logic behind it. And when people start abandoning the logic, you will know. For example, I have said it that people have abandoned the logic behind the Ekwalo. They have reduced Ekwalo to the Christian version of just asking for the forgiveness of sin. Where people condone Ekwalo, do Ekwalo in the dead of the night or in the absence of the real Ekwalo. The community must be aware. People must be aware. People must know that you did so thing. This is what you are doing restitution for. So if you do not understand the logic, why are you doing all those rituals? People take us title, they don't know the logic behind it. So either they do it emptily or they get themselves involved in what they don't understand its head or tail. People do but they don't understand the logic behind it. That means you are just wasting time. You are punishing yourself. Number 8, hide the most sacred aspect of Odinana. Never film it. Now I say that do not hide. I said it initially. Now I'm telling you, hide the most sacred aspect of Odinana. Back now. That I'm saying that you should not hide is the basic aspect of Odinana. If you are praying with kola nut, Why are you hiding to pray with kola nut? If you are only Odinana, why should you hide it? But there are some certain most basic, most important rituals in Odinana that you should hide. For example, you are telling in a chigini and all those things, in a book for to do some certain ritual. This is very sacred. You don't need to film it and record and send to people for them to see. No. You are praying with kola nut. If someone wants to record you, fine. Those who visit my Obi knows that if I enter the most ritual aspect of this thing, you cannot film. But if you are doing entertainment, you are free to entertain, you are free to record. But once we get into the most sacred aspect, you put off your phone. It's like that even in the most organized religion. Any religion that wants to hold on to its as potency, the most sacred aspect cannot be filmed. You must be able to know these little demarcations. Number 9, always maintain the moral high ground as only Odinana. As only Odinana, I keep emphasizing this point. Maintain the moral high ground. See only Odinana. But they knew you as an unrepentant liar. They're not doing Odinana any good from an intellectual perspective because that's what they will buttress to demystify Odinana. And how to say, they steal. That's what they will buttress. Now that's where people will hang on to demystify what you are doing. Always maintain the moral high ground. It will help people to provide a window into understanding what you are doing. Number 10, your professional life is one of the greatest assets as an Onye Odinana. You should understand Odinana is not a full-time job. Assuming for those who are saying they are doing as a wine, who are doing Dibia, who are doing this one, who are doing Ebafa, who are doing Odinana is not a full-time work. There's your professional work. Even in the Bomelo Odinana have professional things that they are doing. Some we are wood carvers, some we are farmers, some we are hunters, some we are white tappers, some we are fishermen. It gives it prestige. It helps people to understand. So when you say it's a way of life, it makes more meaning to people. So Odinana must be approached from an intellectual perspective that will help an outsider to understand what you are doing. The understanding is not basically for people to join you, but for people to do what? Have an inkling to make it make sense to them. It has to make sense. And it's only when you approach Odinana from an intellectual perspective that it will make sense. It must be able to make sense to your children. It must be able to make sense to your colleagues. It must be able to make sense to your friends who are members of other faiths. So Odinana must be practiced from an intellectual world perspective angle. And these 10 points I've listed is how we can achieve this goal. Because we must bring Odinana from the fringes into the mainstream. And for us to do that, we must create an intellectual depth for Odinana. Those of us who are gifted must be able to do write books that will help people to understand this practice. Odinana must have an academic face for it to get into the mainstream. It must be questioned, it must be criticized, it must be able to stand the criticism of other intellectual, should I call it attackers from other faiths. It's only when we provide an intellectual depth for Odinana that we can be able to achieve more, push Odinana more. Because if he's not attacked from an intellectual depth and is sustained, the intellectual argument is strong to withhold these attacks, then it cannot go far. Thank you for watching this video. If you like the video, please like, subscribe, and share. I would like to hear from some of you. If you have any question, please, you can reach me through the number on the screen or my email address or my other social media handles. Thank you. Thank you.